Parker from Sarah Parker Fitness here with Advent Calendar Day 4, just a little bit late. So I was at the Dids Baby event on Saturday, and talking to somebody there about crunches. So this was somebody who was postnatal. She'd been told by her trainer that because she was a certain stage postnatal, that it was all right for her to go back to crunches. Now, you can't really tell whether or not you're okay to do it by how old your baby is. So there's lots of things that need to be taken into consideration. Whether you've still got a gap in your stomach muscles, how functional those stomach muscles then are. So you can have a gap and still be able to do certain exercises quite comfortably. For some people it will have an effect, so you might get back pain, you might feel that your stomach is doming on certain exercises, you could even leak afterwards or during, which would also tell you that it was too much for you. So it's not always going by an amount of time. So there's people that I've worked with who've had a split in their stomach for 13 years and still been able to do something about it. But I thought today I would give you some work to do for your core that is nothing to do with crunches, because crunches aren't the most effective exercises anyway and just aren't that great for postnatal. So really what we want to try and do is get away from thinking of the front muscles as the muscles to be working, and just think of the fact that the abdominal is made up of 4 different sets of muscles, and we want to get to all of them, and we want to make it functional exercise. Now, a lot of my favourite exercises actually use equipment, so standing ones, a lot of them are equipment orientated, so I'm using floor work today, but ideally a lot of your work will be done in standing because most of your life is done in standing. And it's not always like the stomach that is work, that even if you're not focusing on a stomach exercise, it is possibly still working your core. So when we do squats with arm work, when you're doing lunges with arm work, all that is still working your core, so you don't have to just focus on working on the stomach for it to be working. Core connection, apparently, there we go. I'm back in the room. Okay, let's get on with it then. So again, it's going to be a case of probably you're not going to see my head once we get going with this. And if you're pregnant and you want to do the exercises, any of them on your back, you're better off propping yourself up. So you want to have your ribs higher than your hips if you can. So using a couple of pillows or a bean bag if you've got it. Otherwise, you're okay to stay on your back for a short amount of time. If at any stage you feel dizzy, nauseous, or just a little bit weird, roll over onto your left-hand side. Okay, so first one, classic heel slides. Let's set myself up so I'm far enough away. So you want to have, in this position, your hips and ribs should be in alignment. You're not pushing your back into the mat, but you also want to watch these ribs. So try and relax the ribs down as much as possible. If you need to, then you might have to have your head on a towel or a pillow or something to help you keep those ribs down. So from this position, you're just going to slide a leg out along the floor. And if you can, you breathe out to draw that back in. So hips to ribs are level. You slide the leg out away from you and then draw it back in. So as you draw back in, you're lifting up on pelvic floor. You're drawing the hip bones together. It's a breath out to draw back in. And so it's your stomach muscles pulling the leg back in and keeping your back still. So you can stay with that. If you want to take it another stage, your arms are going to be lifted and the opposite arm is going to come back behind you as the leg goes in front. And what you want there is for these ribs to stay down as the arm goes behind. So you don't want to feel like you're arching away from the floor. So keep that down. Whole of your rib cage should be down on the floor or on the mats. And you're staying nice and balanced left to right as you work through from one side to the other. So then from there we're going to go into a hip lift. So you want your heels a little bit closer towards your bum. Again, back in neutral. If you did lift your head up onto a block, you might want to take it out for this. We're not rolling through, we're going to keep this pelvis neutral. So hips to ribs level, you're going to breathe out, lift up through the hips, extending the knees away, and then breathing in to lower. And again, so hips stay nice and level. Breathe out. You should feel some work in your bum. You should still have a neutral spine, so you're not going into an arch. Whole of your rib cage still down on the mat. And again, breathing out, extend away through the legs, and breathing into lower. So we can make this harder, make it contact with the abdominals a little bit more. You could have a ball between your knees and you could squeeze the knees as you come up and breathe into lower. You can do it anyway without. So the knees aren't actually moving together. You just get that connection. You should feel the work in your inner thighs. In the same way, if you had a stretchy band, you could pull the legs apart as you lift up, or you can create that own tension yourself. So again, without them actually dropping out, think about squeezing out against resistance but not actually moving out that much. And then we're going to progress it to a hold, and you're going to think about lifting one foot off the floor. So you might only need to think about it, and that might be enough. You might feel you're about to move too much, or you could try and actually get that foot off the floor. And if you're able to, then you can start to take it into a full extension. Now, if you're doing this, again, ribs to hips should stay still. So a lot of people, when they get tired, push with their back, so it hurts their back instead of working the bum and the core. So hips level left to right, ribs stay down, and only do a couple and then come back down into it. Okay, the last exercise we're going to do is against the wall. So I'm just moving. Okay, so hope you don't fall over. There we go. So this one is a press up, but it's also a plank at the same time. So hands just underneath your shoulders, shoulder width apart. Main thing here is, again, ribs to hips are level. So a lot of the time we do this, people tend to want to go with their stomachs or leave their bums behind, which puts a lot of pressure through the shoulders. So shoulders down and relaxed, chest open, ribs to hips level, into the wall, and then breathe out to press away. So this is a plank position. As you come forward, you should feel that core switching on to hold you balanced. If your stomach's going towards the wall, then you're not going to be getting that core work, so you'll just be dropping in through the back instead. So keep it lifted, breathe out as you push away, and think of that lift through pelvic floor as well. So those are 3 core exercises, no crunching. Hope you enjoy it. And we do things like that in pregnancy and in my postnatal Pilates. If you want to find out any more information about it, then do get in touch.